can surround myself with people that are better than me at something, then it's going to heighten my abilities, right? It's going to take me up a notch. My grandfather used to tell me, if you are the smartest one in the room, find a new room.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. We are live with a Provoke Coach podcast. I am your host, Clinton Mansfield, aka the Provoke Coach, and I have with me a very special guest and somebody that, wow, we've just been connected over the years, and we've spent, time, with each other's family, and we've always just connected because we are true performers together, and we make ourselves better. So I have with me Luis Escalera. Thank you so much for showing up to the Provoke Coach podcast, man.
Man, I truly appreciate you, Clint. And, like I've always told you, I got nothing but love and admiration for you. And anytime I can share any type of platform, it's great. It's a blessing, my brother.
Awesome, man. Well, look, as always, not everybody knows your story. Not everybody that follows me follows you, and vice versa. So, I really want to be able to tell everybody that's listening right now, like, what do you do present day? Who is Luis Escalera?
Luis Escalera is just an individual that, it's all about personal growth and bettering himself. Obviously, right now, we all go through tough times. That's something that we all go through. But, this life is obviously, it's a challenge, and to become successful is even harder on a day-to-day basis. It's life doesn't become easier. We have to become harder. So, right now I live my day-to-day is basically trading every single day, looking at my investments. And that's something that is extremely difficult for any type of mindset, not only the complications that come with it in understanding the game, but also it's a very boring game, especially now, right now, the way these markets are looking, it's extremely boring. It's tough. What makes it a little bit interesting, like I usually tell, a lot of my viewers, a lot of my friends, family, a lot of people that follow me, is what makes it interesting is how you allocate your money and, that motivation. But, motivation, we all know, doesn't last for too much of a long time. It's that discipline. on every single day basis. That's for
Absolutely.
sure.
Well, and I know you've been doing this, present day for a while now. How long have you been trading?
I've been trading, I would tell you, I'll go back to 15 years. I've been doing trading for 15 years. How did I start? I just started by, just reading. Like I used to tell people, this information, especially the way technology is, it's much different, 15 years ago. So as soon as I came in here from Puerto Rico, and I moved in here and made a difference, I got together with a couple of people that I've met throughout my gym days and say, hey, listen, you should put your money here, put your money there. But obviously you weren't educating yourself. So, I did lose a lot of money when I first started, started learning the game relatively a little bit in the tough way. And I would say about 11, 12 years ago, I went to online trading academy there in Fort Lauderdale. Spent a lot of money, Clint. I'm gonna tell you something. I spent a buttload of money, and I didn't really, it was about 4 months. Learned, but didn't learn much, and just continued to practice throughout the year. But I would say successfully trading for the last 8 years in terms of stocks, indices, getting into ETFs, a little bit more commodities. But now also, the crypto game. Been a crypto trader, I would say, since 2014. Actually introduced to crypto first time by a great friend of ours, Luis Gatto, that actually said, hey, man, you heard about this Bitcoin thing? And I was like, knowing the way we are and the way our mind works, I was like, man, I got to get to know this little Bitcoin a little bit. And bought my first Bitcoin at $127, man. So
nice.
I would say that was a great investment.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and, I guess let's talk about that for a second, because, in your game, of investments, it is really not the short game in a lot of cases. It is really a long game. Not only did it take you a long time to learn the craft, but what people don't understand is a long time before you make money, really. I mean, unless you're just flipping, right? I mean, in kind of playing that short game a little bit. Talk to us about that.
Well, that's a great question. As we all do, especially nowadays, we all want to see benefits of everything just right off the bat. I wouldn't say it's virtually impossible, because there's something called crypto now, and obviously the way this is working with NFTs and obviously the DeFi market, which all these markets are still relatively new and virgin. The adoption, it has been greater. I would say about 7% worldwide right now. Close to the 10, as especially with the situation with everything going on in Ukraine right now, which obviously we all pray for. The reality of it is it's a game where, hey, listen, it does take a little time. Crypto has changed, mindsets a little bit. So I would say it's all about allocating your money truthfully in different ways and respectfully. It's just not all about crypto. It's not all about stocks. It's not all about leverage trading, like an option trading. Or you could get into binaries, obviously, which is HFX, high frequency trading, or even leverage trading, like I do also, MT4. That takes a little bit of more work. So that's the art where it's a little bit more difficult and a lot of more riskier. But that's what people tend to do nowadays, because they want to see, that gratification, which comes in, as soon as possible. They're not willing to put in the work like everything else, and understand that there is a patient game. So there's always have to be a zooming out. We all understand that. Bitcoin has been the number one trading asset ever. But the truth of the matter, there are Teslas out there, there is those Apples out there, which you'll look at those gains throughout the years, which all of them are looking pretty great right now. I said, there's no financial advisement here, at all. There's education behind it. But the truth of the matter is, once you master the fundamentals of the game, and also the technicals behind it, looking at some charts and understanding, what this language actually means, which takes a little bit of time, that takes away the sentiment of it, takes away the emotion.
Can I ask you a question? Why don't, I did a video on this the other day about investing, okay, and why people don't invest when they know that the long game tells you you're going to create wealth for the future, even if you are not aggressive, right? Like over time, you're going to do it. Every financial person's ever told me, like, you remember when they told you in your 20s, like, invest right now, invest this just small amount of money, and through compound interest, here's what's going to happen over time. Nobody listens. Why does nobody listen, Lewis?
The reason they don't listen is one of the things is what you just mentioned a little while ago, is that they just want to see the immediate gratification. And a lot of times when people are mentioning this, just like they did with Dogecoin, just like they did with Shiba, and a lot of times when Bitcoin is when it's bumping, so everybody wants to invest in something when it's hot. So it's just like out there, like, let me ask you this. Let's say if a new game came out, like a new Call of Duty came out, you see all those kids are dropping right next to the closest GameStop, and they want that game right now. Everybody wants a new pair of Jordans right now. So the reality of it is that, hey, we just don't wait until maybe, a lot of times we know they'll probably be sold out, but something like, let's say like a game like we're talking about, hey, listen, we could get this maybe $20 less, maybe a little bit later. So that fear, Clint, that fear of loss, where right now, if you were to talk to anybody about the market, they're all saying, hey, listen, have you seen where Bitcoin is? They said there's garbage right now. All these markets are going garbage because fear is a disease, my brother. We both know that. It kills dreams, it kills hope, and realistically, a lot of times we fail because we care what other people say instead of doing our research. So the truth of the matter, it does work. So, like I said, the sentiment has to come out of this and understand that, hey, listen, long term this works,
right, Lewis? Because the fitness game as well. You spent a long time in the fitness industry, and it's almost just that same thing. This fear that you talk about, because it is uncomfortable. I mean, trading, the stock market, as well as, you might as well be gambling. And I mean, like these are, but it's just a smarter long-term gamble, but you're right though. As you do those small steps, as you educate yourself, you become better and you win a lot more, right? Like, it took you
years,
10 years, right?
Easily 15. 15, right. Because this is still something that we're working on a daily basis. Sometimes when something doesn't go my way, especially with leverage trading, I was like, man, what was I looking here? What was I looking at here? I didn't see that. I didn't see that liquidity there.
Right.
Or, people say you can never time these markets, Clint, but the market does rhyme. And a lot of times when you train your eyes and you train yourself to see these charts on a daily basis, and understand that you're buying, it's all about buying a great asset, then it makes a lot of sense. It's like, I get these calls and these texts all the time. Hey, Lewis, what should I invest in? I said, okay, what do you like? The first thing I'm going to ask you is, what do you like and why do you like it? Right. And the truth of the matter is, hey, listen, man, I would tell people you got to go with safer investments, because you got to understand, a lot of these companies and a lot of these crypto markets right now, a lot of these assets, the way they work, it's simply understanding, hey, what is this all about, and what sense does this make now and in the future? Right. It all has to do with that.
Right. Like because I'm assuming in the trading market, you look at certain things that are coming up through the mix and you're like, that just isn't, it might be hot for a minute, but there's no long-term value in that. There's got to be things that pop up all the time in the market that are like that, but that's just like business ideas, you're right. That's Absolutely. Like Shark Tank. That's like elevator pitch, like that's these type of things, right? Or am I wrong?
Absolutely. You're absolutely correct. So not every project that comes out, it's a great one. So I'll give you an example. What I like to do is that if somebody wants to start investing in crypto right off the bat, I would say I would look into the top 25 right now. Top 25 in market cap. They're there for a reason. Understand those fundamentals and understand that if you invest also, let's say if you want to invest in Bitcoin and something like an Ethereum that, are basically the value, because Bitcoin is like that digital gold. And then, Ethereum is like that, that new layer of the internet that's out there, it's like the internet of things, you're safe to investing there. So what I would say is basically, like I said, no financial advice, just something that'll be more educative, invest in something like, let's say, 25% of your money in Bitcoin, 25% of your money, let's say, in Ethereum, and then take another 25% in the DPI, which will be all the DeFi index, and then the NVI, which will give you obviously the metaverse index. So that would be a smart and great way to allocate your money. But don't forget about the stock market and those indices over there, because the truth of the matter is these are all adapted to crypto. So that's about being diverse. It's like, hey, I know you for years. You've been my buddy for years, and I have nothing but love and admiration. You've never been a one-trick pony. I've never been one either. One-trick ponies don't really make it anywhere. Your money's not going to do it anyways either.
Well, yeah. I mean, you want to spread, your money out into things that, that are going to show value in the future, that are showing value now, to kind of diversify, everything. But look, you and I could go down this path all day long. Where do you see, I guess, for you in the future with this? Are you looking to grow, expand your team? Because this isn't your only business either. Let's talk about that for a second. I mean, you're kind of a serial entrepreneur right now.
Absolutely. So, I still have that great passion, for the fitness side of things, but more into, more passionate about, the rejuvenation part about it, and obviously how this peptide world is actually working in terms of, how the body is actually using, the natural source of HGH that we have. And obviously we understand that, man, at 40, the way, HRT actually works into it, and all that type of, keeping yourself as healthy and as younger as you could get, so, not only training your mind, but, training the body is very important. But also we understand that a lot of these supplements, actually, a lot of them do work. We want to get what natural as possible. We all seen what, human growth hormone has done throughout the years, but these peptides, these dual blends, obviously, the BRP and what a lot of these supplements are actually doing, not only the Semarellans, we could get into and talk about this for days, what all these shots are actually doing and actually are helping in terms of not only, helping people reach their goals, but also, getting to the point where, hey, listen, man, you're taking it to the next level of where you want to be in a more of a natural way, so that's something that's important.
So you have this company as well, right? So what part is your company involved?
Well, the part of my company is more mobile, seeing a lot of customers mobile and, special orders here and there, but great clientele, that have always been steady, and not only that, people that really want to listen and understand that, hey, listen, it's not only the supplements, it's also the exercise too, because you got the other part of that, where, hey, listen, you get people just, shooting up this mix shot over here, and going through all these amino acids, shooting up over here, shooting up over there. And then what happens is, hey, listen, it's not going to be a magic trick. So, it has to be a combination of everything, no? And obviously, hey, listen, with the dogs, the dogs have been, been my blessing. That's actually what drove me out to the real world and seeing, hey, listen, man, there's some great opportunities out there and ways of you investing your money. So I want to give a shout out. I want to give a shout out to my partners and much love to, my partner in Jersey, Elio Fernandez. I love that man. That man has actually helped me and, taking care of a lot of animals. I remember me buying dogs and I having where to place them and him placing them over there and, obviously taking nothing, never even asking me sometimes for even a dime, to actually make things happen. So we've created a great vision and obviously I haven't talked to my partner in a while.
How did you get into that? Because I know.
Well, listen, Clint, that's
the physical fitness part we were doing for a long time, right?
That's a great question, man. Realistically, at that point, at the same, I was always trying to find a way to invest because we already know that we're obviously looking for, we're always living that rat race, saying, hey, listen, especially when you're young and, making what a lot of people say it's a good amount of money. It was never enough for guys like me and you. That's why we always click. We're always looking for a little small opportunities here and there. Yeah. And I was just looking for a pet, man. And I always, like a muscular dog and always looking for something with a short snout. And I remember I came across a website from the great, great Ed Shepherd, God rest his soul. A guy that became one of my ultimate friends. I actually visited in California a couple of times. And he had a dog called Dax that actually, realistically changed the game for me. I was like, damn, man, I need something like that. Next thing you know, I bought a Dax offspring and just took it off from there. And then I bought a couple of more of his offspring and then I started loading the house with dogs. And then my brother Lance, which, was already saying, hey, listen, man, it's getting too crowded here. And actually, that's when I met my other partner. I was going to give a shout out to, Josue Ponce, one of the humblest individuals you could possibly imagine, successful man in the restaurant business in Puerto Rico, big time investor, and say, listen, man, with your vision, and with your ability and your marketing technique and the way you sell, hey, listen, it's game over if we unite forces. And that's when Elio came in and I created my company, which is called the Union Breedings, which obviously is been one of the most successul, breeding exotic bully companies out there. Together with HB bullies and man,
they're unreal. And I mean, and those things go for a nice price tag as well.
Absolutely. So
how do they regulate that market? I mean, I'm just kind of curious. in the game of bullies and breeding and stuff like that, like, where do you see like the big axis, like you don't want to be here? Any advice for us out there looking for, a nice bully like like you sell, or even other dogs as well? Like, what's the game like?
I'm into my style more, and what I recommend is finding a healthier dog out there. A lot of times they overdo it. The great thing about this bully game is that it's more like human beings. What do I mean by that? I'm explaining that to you. It's where we're all created unique. We're all created with a certain level of talent, but we all die copies. So in the bully game, we're always trying to find that next unique dog and make a lot of copies of that unique dog, because it's absolutely great. So there's a lot of great bloodlines out there. The game has changed so much, but sometimes they just overdo it. We would have to, we would have to have blindfolds on to understand that these dogs have been mixed for years. But the truth of the matter is, it gets to the point where, hey, listen, I'm looking for more of a correct style of dog. Obviously, carries that nice bone, the nice headpiece, but has a tail, looks pretty unique, but also it's healthy. You want the dog that, once you take them to the vet, they're not telling you is going to die within the next couple of years. You
right.
understand what I'm saying? So that's important.
Well, and I'd imagine that happens a lot, in the different breeds and in the different, things that they try to do with the bloodlines, right? When the mixes start coming up, that has to change, right? Like, in like, when you're talking about healthy dogs, that's really the key element there. Do you find that there's these mills that are just like this, no papers, no medicine, no proper upbringing, that take a lot of money from people? Is that
there's a lot of, I stepped away from the game a little bit and took a long break. I'm actually getting back into it now for two reasons. One of them was that we wanted to, we have a great vision. My partner Eliel, especially Eliel and I, we have a great vision and understand that we want to bring, we want to do something more unique, but actually, modify certain things in the kennel, and that takes time. So it took us like a year and a half to actually, gather up some nice dogs more towards the style and the vision that we have now, based on where the game is at now. Nice. Now, just like anything, this is a very ambitious and cutthroat market too. Yeah. So there is people out there that are realistically not breeding, great dogs, just putting together, certain dogs that, are not, number one, the quality, or sometimes not even, close to being where it has to be health wise. But, the reality is that market doesn't really last much for those people regardless. Yeah. Sure. Because there is people like, right. Yeah. There's some great breeders out there, man, that, you could just stick to those, and they have top of the notch bloodlines and great people to deal with, so it's just like anything, just like the same thing we're talking about investment. If you're going to invest any type of, 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 grand in a dog, man, you would have to do your research first and understand what your fundamentals behind their business is. Yeah, absolutely. 100% with that, integrity, is probably huge in that game. So, I guess if we go back in time a little bit, how did you grow up? Where are you from? What kind of provoking moments did you have along the way that brought you to this? I mean, right now, serial entrepreneur, definitely going places, in your life and in your career. Where did it all begin? Man, it all began in New York to two wonderful parents. My dad, Luis Escalera Sr., my mom, Felicia Guevara, which I love dearly. I know they're watching. They just two hardworking individuals that just wanted to have a better lifestyle in New York, at the time. And, I was born in Bronx, New York, 1979. It was, Jacoby Hospital. It was a great time. I have flashbacks, Clint. Remember myself 2 and 3 years old, where we didn't even have a place to actually eat, man. We didn't even have a table. And I remember the first table that my father bought was like one of these old hardcore plastic tables that was like white, and these ugly ass yellow chairs. And I remember we had that table until we actually moved to Puerto Rico at the time. Yeah. So we had that table for a long time. So I still close my eyes and remember that table, that my father actually gave it away because it meant so much to him. And I remember that. He probably doesn't think I remember that, but I do. I remember, man, me just walking around the house in diapers, man. And then from there, we went to, obviously Massachusetts, and we were in Springfield, Massachusetts, where a lot of my family actually lives in. And I had a couple of close buddies there. Mine, I see one of them logged in, Hector, which I call Bam Bam, and Mikey. And, we used to play ball, and, that's where I learned how to play baseball. And, then after that, it was a, sport athlete, collegiate sport athlete, for a while. So actually, those baseball days are so far away. And, it's funny because people tell me, hey, listen, man, you were great. You were a good baseball player, man. What happened? I say, hey, listen, man, I didn't have the passion for it. I knew there was other ways of making money than just getting dirty out there, man. So I just wanted to play the game at a higher level, man. So, being raised and seeing all those things and having two parents that just actually worked a hard life and, worked very hard. Yeah. I just knew there was always something bigger out there, man. And, and that's how you develop those dreams, man.
Yeah. And, so, I mean, obviously after that, you were in New York, did you stay there? Because I know you're in Florida now. So how did that happen? I mean, when did you move, I guess, away from the Northeast?
Yeah. So it's like I said, we went from New York to Massachusetts at the time. Right. When my brother Lance was born, we actually moved to Puerto Rico. Basically, my parents' hometown is Cuamo, Puerto Rico, and in Puerto Rico, nice humble town down south. Where basically, it's 40,000 people, and that's where I was raised and went over there to private school. I was in private school, and that's when I first, understood a little bit more of my spiritual life, also understanding where, understanding a lot of things about not only life, but, of what the Creator has for us. So basically went from there, when I turned 17, I went and went to college on a scholarship. I went to basically Becker College, starting baseball out there for a while, all conference there. And then obviously because of the baseball, it actually took me to Tampa. And that's how I met Tampa. Played at the University of Tampa for a while, there a couple of years. And that's where I met, a couple of great people and influencers like my compadre, Ryan Anani. And that's how he brought me to Miami. Actually brought me to Miami to actually say, hey, man, you got to come and hang out down in Miami, man. You got to come down. You got to come down to the Grove when it was back in the day. Club 609 and Iguanas. He's like, man, and when you see Miami, you're like, damn, this is what those dreams actually meant.
Right.
But then, once you move here and you understand that, hey, listen, financially, you got to have something to back that up. You got to then you truly understand what the South Florida is all about. So went back to Puerto Rico, from Tampa, lived in Puerto Rico for a couple of years, understood, never was my type of my gig, man. It was, Puerto Rico. I mean, I got much love for it, but it was just something that I truly wanted. And I understand that there, I didn't have the vision of everything I wanted here. Moved to Miami and worked myself up just like me and you did, in the gym industry. And actually, but always knew that wanted to play at a higher level, always knew there was something bigger and above and beyond. Something that was bigger. And we always,
and I remember, when you and I first, connected years and years ago. I mean, it's been a long time, but I remember us growing up in the company together at like just about the same time. We're almost identical as far as age. And I remember you telling a story about how you used to take the bus to work, and not only to work, but to go out and actually market in the community of that area. I mean,
that story is something that the late Al Milano, what a great individual, man, and God bless his soul. I know it both hurt both of us. And this man used to tell my story all the time. And I remember when I first moved here from Puerto Rico, I didn't have a car, man, so the only way I moved was around in a bus, and I had to learn how to take those buses, obviously, because I didn't have an option. Public transportation here is not like New York, which obviously, you gotta go through those struggles. And that's why sometimes I tell my brother and my son, I say, man, you guys got it easy out here, man, because I had to get on that bus. And I remember, man, I established a great rapport with a bus driver that used to take me on that 41 bus to Doral, and he used to drop me without there being a bus stop. They used to drop me right in front of the gym, man. Obviously, a lot of times people are like, man, you take the bus, you don't have a car. I was like, man, I'll take the bus, I take a car, and this is who I am, So I remember me taking that 10 out, man, and just going out there marketing and selling memberships out on the street. I remember, we would go anywhere at that point, and sometimes, the great Anna would send us out to let's say, what was it, Winn-Dixie, right? And the guys would end up at Hooters, man. We're having a drink here. I was like, man, I'm here. I got to make money, man. I got to sell memberships. I used to come back with 5 or 6 memberships. And Anna was always like, hey, man, this guy's a different animal. So I used to carry that 10 on my back, man, about 10 blocks, man, and go out there. And I remember when I first got that job, I remember my dad, when he dropped me off at the airport, my dad said, I remember his words. He told me, hey, so tomorrow's your birthday, right? So I said, man, tomorrow's my birthday. I'm going out there to find a job, man. So I said, Dad, I'm gonna make you proud. I remember that those words that still ingrained in me, to where I'm gonna make you proud, and I'm here to make it happen. I'm not here to take any rest. I was tired of birthdays, man. I was tired of, they call me the Grinch. Whoever knows me calls me the Grinch, man. Forget about Christmas, forget about this, forget about that. It was time to make it happen, man. Yeah, man. I had to make some bread, Clint, man. I was telling you. I remember, it's so funny because I was talking about this with a friend of mine the other day. I remember, Clint, this is a true story. I don't think anybody, a lot of people really knows this one. I remember the first time we got paid, that I got paid, and I called the bank and say, hey, we got paid today, because I didn't know, and obviously technology is not what it is today. And I called $700. I was like, $700? Who did I rob? $700. Yeah. And I said, for a month. So I came from a place where this was looking at every 2 weeks. So I said, for a week, this is what I get. And I looked at Anna, I said, Anna, I just made $700. That's correct. She's like, well, before tax was like 900 something. I was like, $700. How do I got to do this again? What do I got to do? She's just, all you got to do is go on and keep on selling memberships. I said, man, I'm going to do that times 2. Yeah. So, we're just a different breed, brother. I just look at it that way, man. It's that hunger, finding your purpose and understanding what's your why, understanding that, hey, listen, you're so much more. And how could I grow on? I said, I told my son the other day, it doesn't really matter what it is out there, where you start. If you're going to flip burgers, be the best at flipping burgers, man. Just take accountability and understanding that, hey, listen, it all starts.
A lot of people miss that, right? Like, I think that, your son's a little bit older, but my daughter's same age. And, right now, I'm teaching my daughter a lot about discipline, a lot about entrepreneurship, a lot about managing things like money and managing things like time and exercise and self-confidence and all this stuff that we teach our children. There's something missing, that you have to go through an element of pain or discomfort. Like you said, you were grinding out there. You saw that. Like, I remember looking at my first real paycheck too. And it just happened to be with the same company, right? And we just happened to look at like, oh my goodness, like you mean I can do that? And just doing what I love, and that's helping people, get in shape, better themselves, but you grind, you go out there and hustle. And what people don't get is that sales and marketing, like, there's nothing that teaches you humility quicker, faster, more efficient than those two things right there.
Yeah, absolutely. I would even go further and say, hey, listen, man, we're salespeople are made. We're not born. So we have to go through that process and understand. And, how can you tell your story? It's the art of storytelling. When it comes to selling, is that how can you establish that rapport and actually make that customer, connect with you? Because, hey, listen, it's not what you say, it's how you say it, voice inflection, understanding, hey, listen, that person that is across from you, they're either going to sell you on why they're not going to buy your product, or you're going to sell them what you got. Yeah. Even if it's the cheapest plan or whatever the case is, but you're going to have to do something. Yeah. So it all starts. You did mention something big there, obviously with our kids, Clint, is that everybody talks about generational wealth. Yeah. How are we going to change generation? My question to you is, how are we going to change generational wealth if we don't change generational mindset?
That's right.
So that's where it's different. So, obviously, your parents couldn't teach you what you know. They took it to a certain point. I understood that my parents, as much as they love me, they didn't have the resources or the detail to be able to show me what I wanted to accomplish. I remember the great Eric Thomas saying one time that when he first left school and actually working at Michigan State, that his mother says, and how are you going to pay for health insurance? Or is you too got a health insurance? He's like, Mom, I'm sorry, but you can't teach me how to become a millionaire. Yeah, I love you, but it's harsh, but it's just the truth. So we have to understand what positions that we're in. And if we want to change that with our kids, we got to show them, Clint, because the reality is, I'm a true believer that our kids don't do what we tell them to do. Our kids do what they see.
Exactly. 100%. 100%, because, it's funny that you say that. It's like that old saying, monkey see, monkey do.
Absolutely.
When we were, at young ages, both of us pretty much at the same age, we were taught from a young business age about leadership, that your team is not going to do what you say. They're going to do what you do. And they're going to handle customer complaints and member problems and in sales and atmosphere. They're going to come in late if you show up late. They're going to be early if you are early. They're going to take things into consideration that you are taking into consideration. So monkey see, monkey do. That's so powerful what you said. Let me ask you, I guess, for you, and we don't, have much time here before, we got to get off. What advice do you have? And I'm going to give you a twofold, because I know you're an entrepreneur and you're a successful business owner as well, times 3 now. What advice do you have for business owners out there, whether they're just starting off or whether they're maybe struggling or maybe they need some sort of spark? And then I guess what advice you have for just, individuals that maybe are working for somebody else and they love what they do, maybe something for them as well. What advice? Well,
the first advice is I'm not realistically, my opinion, where, obviously that's what's great about, a guy like you, that, all opinions matter, and we understand that, that we find that niche where we could all understand and connect. My first advice is, hey, listen, man, just don't listen to everybody else out there. Just do what you truly feel it's best for you. Look yourself in the mirror and obviously connect with yourself and find out who you truly are. That actually helped me a lot, understanding, hey, Louis, you're a piece of garbage right now as a man and you want to better yourself, but this is not what you're doing. So the first piece of advice is be honest with yourself, get to know yourself and understand what your true passion is. Because if you find your true passion, realistically, doesn't mean that you cannot work and become an entrepreneur, because we both did, Clint. We both made it happen that way. So the first thing is finding their passion and their purpose, understanding, hey, listen, are you truly satisfied? Ask yourself the question, look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, are you truly satisfied? Yeah. Is that what you truly want? Do you believe you deserve better? What is it that you deserve? What works for me is nice simplicity. Like I told somebody asked me that question the same day is, hey, listen, Louis, what advice could you give me? And I'll tell you what, listen, the number one thing is that you need better resources. See, Clint, what you're doing here right now, Clint, what you're doing right now is you're basically teaching people. These are resources. And people say, hey, listen, you guys got it easy nowadays because we didn't have that type of information back in the day. I said, yeah, but there was people that wanted more. We're going to the library. I remember Pitbull saying that when he was 12, his mom was playing Tony Robbins out there and said he even have an option to say, hey, listen, I got to listen to Tony Robbins, man. I actually like this guy. Yeah. So, finding better resources, changing your community, take that extra weight off of yourself, understand that a lot of people are negative. Always the people that are talking about you or talking about somebody who's doing something great are the people in the bottom. And the bottom is crowded. So the first thing I would basically tell people is find better resources, find a better community, and find yourself a mentor. Yeah. I'm not going to say, hey, listen, I don't have a reason to promote Clinton Mansfield. This guy is a great motivational guy in general. This guy is wakes up pumped. I wake up pumped every single day. Everybody tells me, you have this energy all the time. I said, man, I try to, because sometimes you go through the struggle. I went through a struggle. I wouldn't lie to you. I went to a struggle about a year ago, very tough struggle, very hardcore point in my life where I did see the darkness, but I was telling my mind and letting my mind dominate me, Klitz. And what I will tell you is this, that's where I found God, and I actually went back to my resources and understand I had that spirituality, because the mind gets tired, Clint. The mind is tired. The mind wants to quit on you. The mind is deserving, says you're deserving of much more. The brain is complex, man. So it tries to save you energy and it tries to, and it tries to affect you in different ways. So if you let the mind dominate you and not become his lieutenant, it's a problem. So I would tell people, listen, I gave you guys a couple of tips there, but I will tell you these last 3. This will work for me. Read, use those resources every single day, exercise as much as you can and on every day. And listen, you have to meditate and you have to pray, man. You have to connect with anything you believe out there. I believe in my God and my creator. What anything you guys could connect with would be special, but you have to meditate it. You have to understand it. You have to connect to this universe in some beautiful way.
Absolutely. 100%, dude. Wow. Like, it was more than two, but they were all awesome. And, it's so funny that you said is the key thing that still sticks with me is the community and the resources that you talk about. I think that people need to understand the resources, that they're there. Gary Vee talks about it all the time. Like, we have a phone. Like,
I'll ask you this one, Clint.
Yeah.
So if you were to look right now, okay, if you were to look at the last 10 people that you've texted right now,
yeah,
and you told all those people, hey, listen, I'm gonna become a millionaire within a year.
Yeah.
How many of those people would actually say you're not crazy?
Yeah.
How many of those people would actually say you're the man?
Yeah.
Because let's do it together. How can we do this together? Let's team up. I have some ideas, because that's the thing, is that everybody has ideas, but nobody's willing to put into work. So out of those 10 people that you've texted, the last people that you text, how many of those people would not tell you crazy? See, what you got to find is that one or two, even if there's one or two, or even one in the next 20, and that's what you need next to you.
Yeah.
You need people that are going to tell you, hey, listen, give you that affirmative action, and tell you, hey, listen, you can yourself in the mirror, you're bigger. So now when you got to look at yourself in the mirror and say, hey, listen, I need to change, but look yourself in the mirror and says, everything is possible. I could accomplish it. Out of those last 10 people that you text, how many of those people could actually say, hey, listen, are actually business people? You got to talk business with business people. You know what the problem is, Clint? You know what the problem is? The big problem is this. We're trying to impress nobodies to become somebody.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
It doesn't make any type of sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're so right at what you said. When you're trying to talk business with non-business people, or if you're trying to talk philosophy and spirituality with people that they have none, or they don't want to talk about that, or whatever that connection may be, regardless of whether or not it's in business or in people's personal life, is that you have to speak the same language, and you have to be able to communicate the right message and surround yourself with that right community. Well, look, dude, wow, man, it's been awesome having you on today. We're definitely going to have to do a part 2. You're definitely on that list of definitely coming back and giving some more info. Where can people find you? If they want some advice, maybe even in the financial market. I know that's a hot topic right now in the world that we live in. Where can people find you? And they can reach out on Instagram, on Facebook. Where do you spend most of your time communicating?
Well, to be very clear with you guys, I have two or three Facebooks, because it's just easier to communicate with people. With the business page on Facebook is a little tougher. We all been through that. That's a little tough. But you can find me through with the dogs through HQB_Lewis E. I did open more of a personal page to interact with people more, more in terms, business wise with the investing. And you can find me there at LE23_PC. Also, but Facebook, just, search, Luis Escalera, and you'll be able to see, a couple of my Facebooks there. Obviously, shoot me a message. And actually, Clint, my personal line, which everybody has, a lot of people have had throughout the years, 305-397-5711. You could text me anytime. I have all the sources of communication there, man. Then, it's a true blessing, man, and I'll be ready for part 2 again. We always come with that information, baby.
Yeah, absolutely. And, look, I'll tag you, in the social media as well, not only on this link, so that way people could just go ahead and click on and send you a message as well. I'm going to have you hang around just for a couple minutes. I'll let everybody else go. Everybody else that's listening right now, whether you're listening now or even later, don't forget, leave a review, subscribe, click like. It's not that hard. It's not that difficult. If you liked it, if you didn't, well, you probably didn't listen this long anyway. So I appreciate everybody that listens and everybody that really provokes positive change in people's lives, because really that is our mission going forward, is to help people get to their peak performance through provoking moments in their life. I appreciate everybody. Thank you so much. And we will
take care.
talk soon.